Right, good evening everyone. This is Robert Jamieson here for our Thursday night online chess lesson, the last one for this term, so welcome to everyone. I have with me today Michael Gershenzon, who's a young chap who's going to go through some of the positions we're going to look at today. So we start off by normally finding out a little bit about Michael. So how old are you, Michael?
8.
8 years old, okay. Do you know what your chess rating is?
1,000 something.
1,000 something, well, that's pretty good. All right, what school do you go to?
Folkestone Primary School.
All right, so you're the best player at the school?
One of the best.
One of the best, all right, that's a good answer. And in terms of playing, I don't think you played on Sunday in our tournaments last Sunday. Did you play then? But you went to Ballarat, didn't you? You played at Ballarat?
Yes.
All right, Australian Junior, did you play at the Junior?
I don't think so.
No, all right, just at Ballarat. All right, that's cool. Okay. Well, we all, or a lot of us, had an exciting Sunday's chess last weekend. We had the rundown squad at the start, and some of us played 3 practice games there. And then we had the novice tournament after that, where some of us stayed on and played another 7 games. So a lot of those games on the website, where I was having a look at them at the time. So I thought it would be interesting to have a look at some of the positions from Sunday. And in particular, I want to look at our decision making and looking at candidate moves and things like that. Now, Michael, have you heard of a candidate move? Do you know what a candidate move would be?
A move that is good in this position.
Not necessarily good. So it's your turn to move, okay? And if I was to say to you, how many candidate moves are you looking at, what would I be talking about?
How many moves that are pretty good can you do?
Yeah, that's right. So at any position, if it's your turn to move, what you should be saying to yourself is, what candidate moves have I got? There might be 2 moves or 3 moves or 4 moves, and then you have a look at those moves and you choose which is the best one. But it's very noticeable watching the games on Sunday that we're not always looking at enough candidate moves, and players are missing good moves or making mistakes because they're not looking at enough candidate moves. So let's get started. We'll have a position here from one of the games. We have Gary Lynn with us here today, who was playing white in this position, and the black player was William Mulligan. I don't think he's here today, which is a pity. All right, this is a fairly even sort of position, and William decided to play bishop takes bishop. All right, so now, Michael, we need you to help Gary, because he could take that bishop back either with the F pawn or the H pawn. So we need to work out which is the better one to take back with, or whether it doesn't really matter and they're both pretty good. So what do you think? What would be good? So let's say you took with the H pawn. Tell me about that.
So you double up the pawns, which we'll do with both of them.
Mm-hmm. So double pawns are generally slightly bad. You'd want to avoid double pawns if you could, but in this case you can't get out of it. Okay.
I think they're both the same.
So what's the difference? If you take with the H pawn, how's that different from taking with the F pawn? What's the differences in the position?
If you take with a H pawn, the H
file's all open.
So all open. But if you take with the F pawn,
the F file
is not going to be that open.
The F file would then be half open. All right. So which would be the better file for white to have open? Do you think the H file or the F file?
I believe the H file.
Okay. And what about in terms of controlling the centre with your pawns? If your F pawn moves across or your H pawn moves across, does it make any difference to who's controlling the centre? Which one you take with?
Not really, because none of them are in the centre.
All right, they're a bit off the centre. All right, so I want you guys out there to have a think which pawn you take with. I've got a little poll here, so I'm giving you the options. You could either take with the F pawn, you could take with the G pawn, or you could say that both moves are okay and you can take with either, it doesn't much matter. So there are your 3 choices. So I'll launch the poll and we'll see what you guys think. to help Gary choose whether he should take with the F pawn, the H pawn, or either pawn, doesn't much matter. So the votes are coming in. Oh, the F pawn's well in front. The other two bringing up the rear very much. I'll give you another couple of seconds and then we'll close the poll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, close the poll. Let's have a look at the results. So it says 80% of the audience want to take with the F pawn. Only 7% want to take with the H pawn. And 20% reckon they're both okay. All right, now which one would you have voted for, Michael?
They're both okay.
You would have gone for they're both okay. Okay, all right. Well, I think I agree with you. But it's interesting everyone wants to take with the F pawn. Now, the general rule is that you take towards the center. So unless you have a really good reason, you would take with the H pawn. So let's have a look here. So you take with the H pawn. So that means that your F pawn is still controlling the E3 square, or maybe if you're going to push the F pawn up later, it'll help control the center. So the F pawn is a better pawn to have than an H pawn, which is right off on the side. So in general, you'd take with the H pawn. All right. You wouldn't take with the H pawn if, for instance, the H file was open and he had his double rooks and he was going to get a good attack on it or something like that. Okay, but let's go back and have a look at the other one. Let's say we took with the F pawn. Now, the only reason you take with the F pawn would be because you want to have your rook on that F file helping you with an attack. See, we've got a half-open file now. So in this position, White's sort of trying to attack on the king side. So taking with the F pawn is probably okay. Taking with the H pawn is probably okay. So my answer would be both moves are okay. So the 20% of you who said that, well done. The 80% who said F takes, I just want you to be aware that the normal situation is to take with the H pawn, because we had a similar game later on with Gary playing again, and he again took with the F pawn. I think this was against Henry Bayliss, and in that position that was definitely the wrong pawn, because Henry later on put a knight on E6, Gary was black, and forked the queen and the rook, because the F pawn was no longer protecting that E6, or in this case the E3 square. All right, so just an important little thing to remember. All right, let's have a look at another position. So we'll go File, Load, Game, and which one will we choose? We'll have a look at Henry versus Lachlan. Okay. Is Lachlan with us here today? Yes. Hello, Lachlan. How are you today?
Good, thanks.
You remember this position?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, don't give the others any hints, and we'll see what they think and what they come up with. All right. So now, Michael, let's say you're black in this position. All right. White's just taken on C3. He's played Queen takes C3. So let's have a quick look. So the material, how's the material going?
Pretty even.
Yep, it's all even, Stephen, with the material. So White's just moved, we're black. So what's the very first thing we say when our opponent's made a move?
Look what he's trying to do.
Yeah, well, what is he threatening? Why did he do that move? What is he threatening? You know, is he threatening checkmate with my queen or something? All right, so do you think White's threatening anything in this position? Has he got any good tactics we need to worry about?
No.
No, it's pretty well all covered, isn't it? Okay, so that means we have a free move. We can do whatever we like. Okay, so what I need you to think of is think of 4 candidate moves that black could have a look at that you think might be okay in this position. So if you were black, what moves would you have a look at?
Rook E8.
Rook E8, okay, so that's one you'd have a look at. What else would you have a look at?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. Why would your rook want to go to E8?
try and get this file open.
All right, but is the file going to be open? Because you've got a pawn in the way and he's got a pawn in the way, and they're going to be hard to be swapped off, aren't they?
Yeah.
So maybe rook e8's the wrong plan? All right. So we're struggling to think of a good move. So we need a general principle that can help us work out what sort of thing we should be doing. So we said white's not attacking anything. So is black attacking? Has black got any sort of attacking opportunities in this position, or is it all pretty boring?
That's pretty boring.
Yeah, there's nothing much to attack. All right. So we're just getting out of the opening a bit. So what sort of general thing should black be doing to get himself into the middle game?
Developing pieces.
Developing his pieces, okay. So now he's got his knight nicely developed. The bishop's moved up, but it's not on a particularly good square. He's got one rook protecting that a pawn, that's all right. The other rook, well, we can't really go anywhere with it at the moment. E8's not very exciting, and our queen's still on the back rank. So if we know our aim is to develop pieces, what piece do you think we should look at moving?
Maybe the queen.
Yeah. So we know we're trying to develop our pieces. That queen's undeveloped, and it means our two rooks aren't connected. So the obvious piece to move is the queen. All right. So we then say, what's the best square to put it? So have you got any squares you could suggest where we might put the queen that would be good?
C7.
C7, okay. Any other square you'd like to have a look at? Not really. So why do you choose C7?
Or maybe rook C8.
But that's not a queen move.
Oh, yeah.
And we need our rook to defend that a pawn. All right. Well, I would certainly have a look at moving the queen. All right. I'll give you 4 alternatives, and we'll have a little poll, and people can vote on what they think would be the best move. They're not all queen moves, because maybe we want to do something else important before we move our queen. So you can decide, Michael, which move you think's best as well. So first off, I'll suggest E5 as a candidate move. So that's to try and gain a bit of space and let our bishop out. And white can take it, but there might be a little bit of a tactic that we can follow up with if he does take it. So E5, I'd have a little bit of a look at that. Second move, I'd have a look at maybe queen F6, trying to challenge his queen, maybe get a swap off of queens. I'd look at queen E7. I don't think I'll put it on C7 because C7, that means my knight's pinned. I reckon E7 would be a better spot for it, and that means the queen's protecting the A pawn as well. And we'll have a look also at a knight move. We'll have a look at knight E7. All right, so they're the 4 moves. So we're looking at E5 or queen F6 or queen E7 or knight E7. So I'll launch a poll and see which one you guys would like. So they were E5, queen F6, queen E7 or knight E7. So you can start voting. At the moment, E5 and queen E7 have hit the lead. Queen F6 is getting a vote now. Knight E7 is getting a vote. Queen E7 still just in the lead. Okay, give you 3 more seconds. We'll close the poll. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's have a look at the votes. What have we got? So it's pretty open. So 41% went for queen E7, 35% went for E5, and 12% went for queen F6 and knight E7. All right, so queen E7 was the most popular. You there, Lachlan?
Yep.
Okay, what one did you vote for this time?
I voted for knight a7, but I actually thought queen b6 looked pretty good.
Queen b6 is probably all right, or queen a5 even. So why did you vote for knight e7? Tell us about that. Because only was it 12% or something voted for that, I think?
12%, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about knight e7. What's happening there?
Well, I reckon it's good to get the bishop out, like Get the bishop out of having to protect that knight. So if you can bring it out onto the other side.
So you're looking to activate your bishop. Yep. All right. Thanks for that. All right. Now, Michael, what did you vote for? Did you choose one of those 4 moves? What did you think?
Queen e7.
Queen e7. And why did you choose that one?
Well, you could move your rook sometime because the queen is defending the a3 pawn.
Yep. So that's sort of handy. All right. Very good. Let's have a chat to Gary. You there, Gary? Say hello to me, Gary. He's not talking? All right, we won't talk to Gary then. Okay. Well, I don't understand knight e7. And I think, Lachlan, that was a bit of a boo-boo. Firstly, it's moving a same piece twice in the opening when your queen hasn't developed yet. And the knight's on a pretty good square on c6. It's controlling all those dark squares in the centre. So I think we have to move our queen somewhere. It's just a question of the best square. Let's have a quick look. So let's say if we went to f6, he would probably attack our queen and gain a bit of space. And we can zoom up to f4. He might protect his e-pawn. That's sort of fair, but we've given him a bit more space and stuff. So queen f6 is probably not super good. Knight e7, which is what you did. He puts his rook on the d file, same file as your queen, and you then hit his rook. I think he went back to e1, but he should have just gone to d2. Now I'm not sure your bishop's then on a great square, and I'm not sure where your knight's going. It's not on a great square and it can't go to d5 or f5 or stuff. So this looks to me being a little bit better for white. So let's go back. So e5. e5's interesting because white could just zap it, but then it gets pinned with the knight, with the queen. So queen and knight are pinning that knight. White can protect it. But maybe just black puts rook c8, something like that. Now he's threatening knight takes e5 and mucking up those pawns, and he should get his pawn back with more active position. So I'm not sure that one's so hot if we take that line. But white doesn't have to take the pawn. Can you see another move white could do, Michael, instead of taking the pawn? If he wants to put his pieces on good squares.
Bishop b5.
He could go bishop b5 attacking the knight, but that's fairly easy to defend the knight. What I'm thinking might be good, he might play bishop c4. Now that that e6 pawn's moved, that's a good diagonal, and the bishop can then jump on d5. They'll be attacking the knight, pinning it with the rook, and they'll be protected by the e-pawn. So I think that would be quite all right for white. So that leaves the safest one, queen e7. So we've just cleared our back rank. Maybe he might play rook b1 or something, and we might put a rook on the c file. And I think we're going okay. All right. So that was an example, I think, where Lachlan made the wrong decision because he sort of disobeyed the rules. The rules are we were trying to develop our pieces and to move each piece only once. So that would have told us to move the queen, whereas he moved the knight twice. All right, so a little bit of a boo-boo. Okay, let's have a look at another position. What have we got here? We could have Henry and William. Okay. Now, William's still not with us. Let me just check. Bobby's arrived. No, no William. All right. Now, you didn't play on Sunday, did you? So there was a novices tournament. How would you like to win the novices tournament? Be pretty good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so let's pretend you're William and you're helping William. And this is the last round game on the top board. So Henry Bayliss is winning the tournament, and he's got the white pieces, and he's got 5.5 points. And you're William, and you've got 5, so you're half a point behind. So if you can beat him, you'll win the whole tournament. That'll be great. And the good news is you're black. So how do you reckon black's going here? Have a look at the material. Can you count the material?
About the same.
Is it? How many pawns has black got?
7.
How many pawns has white got?
5.
So black's got 2 extra pawns. 2 free, delicious, juicy pawns. So black's going really well, I would have thought. But white's just played bishop g6. Looks like a funny move. So we've got to ask ourselves, what is he threatening?
Threatening for him to take that and then...
So,
yeah, him to take g6 and then you take g6 with your knight.
So black obviously wouldn't take it. That would be a silly move because white would just jump in there and fork everything and win comfortably. All right, so William's decided with our help that he's not going to play f takes g6. But we still don't know what white's threatening. If it were white's go, what would he do here that could be a really good move? Remember to look at all checks and captures. Can you see a good capture for white?
No.
All right, I'll tell you then. So if it were white's go, he would play bishop takes f7. And then, if the rook takes back, the knight would jump into g6 like before and fork the king and the queen. So that would be really good for white. So William's in a bit of a panic here. He's 2 pawns up, but white has this threat. So William decides to play king g8, and Henry decides to check him. So William goes back, king h8, and Henry goes bishop g6. What's happened here?
They're just doing moves.
They're just repeating position. And what happens if we do that 3 times?
Ends up in a draw.
It's a draw by triple repetition. So you're William. I thought you wanted to win the tournament. Are you happy with the draw? No, we want to win, don't we? Okay, I'll tell you a funny story about William actually. So in the tournament on Sunday morning, we had 3 games. So William played against Gary Lynn in the first game. Do you want to guess what the result was? No, it was a draw. William had a slightly better rook ending, so he offered a draw. Oh, sorry, not Gary Lynn. What's his name? Ryan. Ryan. It was a draw. Second round, he played Gary Lynn. Want to guess what the result was?
Draw.
A draw. Grandmaster draw, because they're both scared of each other. Third game, he played Rebecca. You want to guess what the result was?
Draw.
Draw. Okay. So I've got a really good plan for William. What he should do is change his name, change his middle name. So instead of William, whatever it is, Mulligan, he could be William, would you like a draw, Mulligan. So at the start of the game, when he introduces himself to his opponent, he could just say, hi, I'm William, would you like a draw? And that way he wouldn't have to play all these moves and just get over with quickly. So, poor old William, he keeps drawing. But this game he doesn't want to draw. So what we need is, William's looked at candidate moves. He's looked at pawn takes g6, which is no good, and he's looked at king to g8, which is triple repetition. So we need him to look at more candidate moves to see if there's a way he can get out of it. So can you help him, Michael?
Maybe f6.
f6, all right, let's have a look at f6. So is that going to be good? Are there any problems there? Has white got any tactics? Or will he just have to move his knight back? You just have to move the knight. And then we're 2 pawns up for nothing, aren't we? Yeah. Looks pretty good. All right. Let's rub it in. Is there any other move you could find that could defend that f7 pawn and stop the bishop takes f7 threat that would be okay for black?
Not really.
Not really. There's one other move he could play. He could play bishop e8. Have a look at that. That defends the pawn. So if you take me on f7, I just take you with the bishop now. So William had 2 ways he could have stopped the attack, been 2 pawns up for nothing and won the game. But what did he do? He said, would you like a draw? And Henry said, yes, yes, I've won the tournament, you beauty. Okay, so it was all because he didn't have a look at enough candidate moves. So when you're in strife, the lesson is always look at more moves. You might find some, even if they're silly looking moves, you might find something that turns out to be really good. Okay, let's move on then. We'll have a look at another game or another position. We'll go up to, where are we? Harry versus Williams. Right, here's the position that I asked you all to have a look at the start. This is the main one I want to look at today. Okay. Now, I've asked you to all assess the position and come up with 4 candidate moves and then determine which you think would be the best one. All right, so Michael, if I asked you to assess the position, that's to say like who's winning, or is it even, or what? It's black's go, so what do you think? White better, is black better, or is it pretty even?
White's probably better.
All right, why do you think white's better?
Because he's attacking G7 and the knight can't move anywhere.
Yeah, but black's got G7 defended, so is it going to be a good attack, or is it just tying him down a little bit?
Tying him down.
Okay, so how else do you decide who's winning, apart from who's trying to attack?
Pieces.
Pieces. So the very first thing we do to assess a position is we count the material. So you want to have a quick look at the material and tell me who's winning on the material, or is it equal?
Black's winning on the material.
Is he? Why? What's he got that's extra?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
No.
It's dead even. They've both got 6 pawns, a bishop, a knight, and a queen. All right. So on material, it's even.
Yeah.
All right. So you've looked. So has anyone got a sort of a good attacking move now that's going to win for them, or is there nothing much happening at the moment? Black's go. So are there any tactics that are going to say it's a win for black or a win for white?
Not really.
No, it doesn't look like it. All right. So we need to look at positional things to assess the position. Okay, so what sort of things should we look at to determine whether we think it's a good position or a bad position?
So white's controlling the center.
So white's got an extra pawn in the center, and he's got that nice knight in the center.
And the bishop can't, black bishop can't really go anywhere.
Yeah, the black bishop's bumping into the pawn, so that's not very good bishop, yep.
And the white bishop's also not.
Yeah, the white bishop's not very good either. So if white was to play pawn to d6, then maybe that bishop was jump in to become a good attacking bishop. All right, anything else you'd look at?
Not really.
All right, well, let's have a look at the pawns. So let's say all the pieces were swapped off and there was an end game, and there were just the pawns left. So who would have good pawns and who would have bad pawns? What would you need to look at?
White would probably have good pawns because
Where? What's his advantage with his pawns?
on the right side.
On the queen side, yeah, he's got a potential outside pass pawn because he's got 2 to 1 on the queen side, hasn't he? So if white's king's tucked away on the king side somewhere, he might be able to rush through and get a queen. So white's got to worry about that. All right, now what's black got to worry about if it was just pawns?
The king side.
White's got more pawns on the king side. Yeah, any particular pawn he's got to worry about?
The D pawn.
Yeah, why has he got to worry about the D pawn?
Because then first goes away.
Yeah, it's what we call a supported passed pawn. So if nothing's blocking it, 3 moves it can rush through and get a queen. So black has the outside passed pawn potentially, but white has the supported passed pawn in the middle, so black's king can't run too far away. All right. Now let's look at the pieces. So we said both the bishops are bad. What about the knights? Who's got the better knight?
White's got the better.
White's got the better knights because he's attacking and black's defending. What about the queens?
I think black's got the better queen because White's queen's not really doing anything.
It's trying to attack on G7, but it's all covered, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. And black's queen is better because?
Well, it's attacking the C file.
Yeah, it's on an open file. It's like a rook. So you want your queen on an open file controlling the file. So if black gets a good attack going on the queen side, that queen will be in a good position. Okay, so both sides have got their pros and their cons. So we need to look at candidate moves now. Now I've asked for 4. Can you think of any good candidate moves? What would you be looking at if you were black to move here?
Maybe G6.
G6, now but can't this knight take your H-pawn then? H-pawn will be undefended? Yep, all right, so what else?
Queen C1.
Queen to C1 check, all right, so that might be okay. What would be your idea of Queen C1 check? He'll move his king up. What would be your follow-up? You've got to worry because your E-pawn's going to be undefended then.
You could put it to F4.
All right, and get a queen swap off maybe. All right, so Queen C1 checks the line. What else would you have a look at?
Maybe Bishop C8.
All right, what's your idea there?
Trying to swap off your bad bishop.
Bad bishop for the good knight. Very good. All right, that's worth looking at. Any other move you'd have a look at?
I can't really say any other.
All right, I'll give you 2 others that I think might be okay. F6 I think would be worth a look at because that protects your E-pawn, so that frees up the queen, so it doesn't have to protect that pawn anymore. And A5 to get those queenside pawns rolling and maybe chase that bishop away. That might be worth a look at too. So we're going to have another poll for you guys. So they're the 4 candidate moves I want to choose between. So we've got Queen to C1 check, A5, Bishop to C8, and F6. So I'll just say them again and then we'll launch the poll. Queen to C1 check, A5, Bishop C8, or F6. So if everyone can vote for one of those 4, Queen C1 check, A5, Bishop C8, or F6. At the moment it's pretty close. I think all very close. Queen C1 and Bishop C8 and F6 is catching up. Gee, this is the closest poll we've ever had. I'll give you 3 more seconds if you haven't voted. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's close the poll. Let's have a look at the results. What have we got? Gosh, a triple heat. Unbelievable. So 29% want Queen C1 check, 29% want Bishop C8, 29% want F6, and only 12% want A5. Gosh, all right. So we're all confused out there. So which one would you have voted for, Michael? Which do you think would be the go?
F6.
You'd like F6. All right, well, let's have a look. So we'll have a look at F6. Okay, so that protects our pawn. That looks all cool. And the queen's now covering the G-pawn then. So what would white do you think, after F6?
Queen G6.
Queen G6, is that threatening anything?
Not really.
Not really. Yep.
D6.
D6, that's threatening. You've got to be very careful though, because if that pawn's not going to get through, you might be going to lose it because he's got a knight and a queen on it. You might be able to just sap that pawn. What about if he blunted your attack now with F6, your queen's not really helping. Maybe you'd drop the queen back to E1. Can you see what that would be threatening if we're looking at checks and captures? Where would the queen want to go next move?
B4 check.
B4 check. That looks like a pretty strong check. And then you could start moving the pawns to D6. So black might play Queen C5 to block it. Okay. Now there's a really clever move here for white that I wouldn't have looked at probably, but my computer did. Can you think of a really good move for white? It's an unexpected tactical move. Okay, I'll show you. What about D6? Now that looks like a silly move, because doesn't he just take it and he's won our pawn? So let's say he took it. Have we just blundered the pawn, or have we got a really good move here? What could we do?
D6 takes.
So he's just taken our pawn back, yep. So it's white's go. We've got our knight attacking, we've got our bishop attacking.
A5.
No, it's white's go. Queen A5. Oh, trying to get a check up the back. Could do. Maybe he'd just drop his knight back though to F7 or E8 or something and cover it. Any other move you'd look at that could be threatening? It's a queen move. All right, what about Queen D2? Now this is a tricky move, because then if he takes our knight, we've got Queen D8 and it's checkmate. And if he goes back, we might be able to play knight takes H6 or something. So this is a bit difficult. So F6 is looking a little bit dodgy. All right. So let's have a look at something else. We'll have a look at A5. Now that looks very logical to me, because we've got the advantage on the queen side. So we should be playing where we've got the advantage. So what could white do now? He's going to play A4 and drive us back, and then we're going to be on the defensive. So we need to attack him quickly.
A4.
We could do A4. He might then push past, and he's got the supported pass pawn, and our bishop's unprotected. There's another attacking move for white that we looked at a minute ago. What about pawn to D6? Now, can he take that now or not? What would happen if his knight took that pawn?
Queen takes D7.
Queen and B into G7. All right, so that's no good for him, so he can't take it. So he'd probably give us a check. We'd run away. He might go back somewhere like that, because but then his E-pawn's undefended. And we can snaffle his E-pawn, because he's got to worry about if he was to defend his E-pawn now with a queen, say like he played queen here or something, white's got a killer move. What could white do here?
Pawn D6.
Pawn to D7. Yeah, so we're attacking the knight and we're threatening just D8 equals queen. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So A5 isn't looking the best. So Queen C1 check. That was one of the three most popular moves. So white would have to go up there. Queen F4. Now this is actually what William played. So we'll see how it works out. So what should white do now? Should he take it or not?
Yeah.
I think we'll zap it. Now, how can white get his king into the game really quickly?
G3.
G3. That's a good move. So he has to take us. Now our king's zooming in. Now William played here. Now we've got a big advantage with those two pawns in the middle.
D6.
So we play D6 to lock his king in. He plays bishop C8 to attack our knight. We just move our king up. William took the knight. We take. He tries and blocks us, and we push our other pawn up. Now, who do you reckon's winning here?
White.
Why?
Because he's got those two pawns, and they're coming up.
Yeah, he's got one supported pass pawn on D6, and what else has he got that's advantage for him, apart from the pawns? He's got more space, yes, because his king's really attacking, whereas poor old William's king is stuck there on the back rank. So what happened is White's threatened to move his king across to the queen side and gobble up those pawns, And eventually, I think he moved it back to the king side and gobbled those ones instead. But the extra space turned out to be a killer. So that was what happened in the game, because William played queen c8 check. Let's go back to the start. So that only leaves one move to have a look at that we haven't had a look at, which was bishop c8. Now, was that the move you would have chosen, or you would have chosen one of the other ones? Which move did you choose?
I chose f6.
You chose f6, all right. So what about this one? A lot of people chose this one as well. It's threatening the knight. So do you want to leave that knight there, or do you want to move it, or what do you think?
I would probably move the knight.
Yeah, if you leave it there and you let him take, we've lost our really strong knight for his lousy bishop. And we'll end up doubling our pawns and isolating our d pawn, which is going to be really blocked on the dark squares. So we'd have to retreat our knight, I think. All right, so black's made white retreat his best piece, so that's good. So what could black do for a follow-up?
Queen c1 check.
Does that help us? He just moved. Oh, hang on, we're attacking the knight, aren't we? And he'd have to play knight d1 or something, maybe? Maybe. Well, what I like to look at is just f6. So that protects my e-pawn and makes that all nice and safe. All right, so what would white have to do now? He's got his knight back, but is his queen doing any good over there? No, so he'd probably, he could get his king out of the way maybe, or drop his queen back. If I was black, I'd put my knight on d6. So is that a good spot?
Yes.
Why is that a good spot?
Because it's attacking all the f5 and
all the strong centre squares. Yeah, if opponent has a passed pawn, a knight is a very good blocking piece. So if you can get your knight blocking that passed pawn, and the knight can't be chased away like with his bishop. So like his bishop's on white square here, so he can't chase our knight away. And the knight, so it's stopped the pawn, and it's also helping on the king side. So if white wants to attack on the king side, the knight's covering f7 and f5. But also, where's black going to be attacking himself? On the queen side. Remember, he's got the open file on the extra pawn, so black will be attacking on the queen side. So the knight is also helping there because it's controlling c4 and b5. So it's really sort of helping out all over the place. It'd be a fantastic square for the knight. So let's say he drops his queen back. What could we do then? Remember where we're attacking? So we've stymied his attack. We've forced his kingside attackers on the defensive. So what would we play? Remember, when you're stuck for thinking where you should be attacking or where you should be playing, you ask yourself, where have I got an advantage? So black's got an advantage of his extra pawns over here. Hasn't he? He's got 2 pawns to 1. Yeah. So what if he played a5? See, now if you were looking at this position and we had to assess this position, we'd say black's romping it in. Because he's got his pawns going, he's blocked white's pawn, his queen's on the open file, so it's going to be a bit better for black. All right, so all those 29% of you guys who said bishop c8, well done. I reckon that's the best move. Just go back to the start again. So how did we find bishop c8? What was the idea that made us think of that?
To try and swap off the 5 knights.
Yeah, that's it. So if you're stuck for a plan, one idea is you look at his good pieces and your bad pieces, and you try and improve your bad pieces, get rid of his good pieces. So if you can swap off your bad one for his good one, fantastic. That's the sort of thing we want to do. Okay. So so that was an interesting position, I thought. And well done, you guys, for coming up with four candidate moves and analysing them, and they're so nearly the same, 29% for 3 of them. It was a tough decision, but as I say, I think Bishop C8 was the best one. All right, well, that's the end of our lesson for today. We're having a break for school holes, and there's tournaments coming up at the Dobell Cup. Hopefully 1 or 2 of you might be going up to Canberra for the Dobell Cup, and then there's a tournament in Tasmania later on in April. Some of you might be going down for that. But holidays in the meantime are a good time to get onto chess tempo and practice your tactics and get ready for next term's tournaments. So I hope you've enjoyed this term's lesson, and I look forward to seeing you all on April the 19th when we start up again for the second term. So good night everyone, and thank you, Michael.